Part 2 of Jesus, Mohammad, religion, both Arabs. Who is a prophet? According to Google, which is where I get my pictures and my images, and a thank you to them, is a person regarded as an inspired teacher or proclaimer of the will of God. Synonyms: it says a seer or a soothsayer, forecaster of the future, a fortune teller, a clairvoyant, a prognosticator, a prophesier, a diviner, and then you have got it from, it's an oracle, augur, a sibyl, S-I-B-Y-L, spaywife, a spayman, and rare, a haruspex, vaticinator, from the Vatican I would guess, and a oracler. In Christian books, the books of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and the 12 minor prophets, were all men of peace. Jesus, from all these prophets mentioned in the second part about the Christian use, etc., none of them could work miracles. None. There are two books that have originated from the Arabic, Armenian or Hebrew source. One has to question why you have two books. One book you get the Old Bible, then you get the New Testament, and in the New Testament is Jesus, and a story of a man who is basically a do-good person. He follows the precepts of his father, God, the maker of water, and there is no doubt about the being as being a gender because he calls him his father. I would say that the being is invisible, but we have to acknowledge that what he says is true because, as I told you before, he is an honest man, Jesus. And a prophet, they don't talk about a person who is blessed with intelligence. They don't talk about a person who is a proclaimer. They do say the proclaimer of the will of God. If you think of the will of God, it's only 5 rules. Now, of those 5 rules, people always tell me, oh, there were 10 commandments. You know, the intelligent people say there are 10 commandments. We live in a world today of people who do not believe in God. The first 5 of his commandments, first 3 relate to God. You see, the unfortunate thing is I also do believe in God implicitly. It's in my birth chart. If you have it in your birth chart, that means that you're not a person who's going to go against it, are you? And it also tells me that I have got my naughty moments where I'll probably forget him, but I must tell you that the good Lord has forgiven me quite often of the many things that I have done wrong, and I mean basically, I'm a human being. We all are human beings. I don't say that the devil caused me to do that. I don't say that God told me to do that. I don't say anything about God asking me to do an evil thing. In the Lord's Prayer, which is a translation error of Jesus' prayer to his Father, there is a statement that says, lead us not into temptation. Now, if you think about that, no God is going to lead you into temptation. It tells you do not kill. It tells you do not steal. It tells you do not covet thy neighbor's wife, the goods, the camel, the land, whatever. He does not tell you also to commit adultery. Now, between Jesus and we have got the army general, Mohammad, from Mecca. Everything that Mohammed says and does is supposedly told to him to do by God, including God tells him to marry his son's wife, when God has said, do not commit adultery. I rather doubt whether the Sharia law has got any of these without some codicil to do what he says he does. You will notice that on every single website, with what the actions of the killers do and the murderers do and the terrorists do, they start with Allah be praised, Allah will help me to kill you. I mean, what is this? And then they said that the devil, and there are people in our own faith, Christian faith, who say Satan will come to you in the form of an innocent face. I don't accept that. I think the child's face is an innocent face, and that poor child is being branded by some moron who says that faces come in the face of innocence. Now, if you look at those animals that on the first part 1, they are all happy faces, and I chose happy faces because they are laughing at religion. Got it? They don't get brainwashed by some stupid moron somewhere who tells them that this is the path to peace. And I do believe implicitly in prayer. But my prayer is not blather. My prayer is not statements made by somebody else, because it's all translated stuff. How do you know whether it's true? You don't. You just accept it blindly. You have a Christian faith, you accept it blindly. However, you might notice that from those two books, the Armenian, Hebrew and Origin books, there are two books, one of good and one of evil. And one wonders why there are the two books from the same source of two different people. We have got Jesus, who came before the army general, and he warned people, do not commit adultery. Why? Because of the fact that the man who came after him was an adulterer. There is no misunderstanding of the 5 precepts of do not kill, do not steal, do not covet. If you convert, do not covet, you will not be a pedophile. You would not be a pervert. You would not denigrate women, because you are coveting everything in that being, another human being. The child you covet for the vessel of your sperm. The women you covet for your pleasure, for your weaknesses. And you say Satan tells you to do this. There is no Satan. That's in the Old Testament about Michael the archangel and angel Gabriel and what have you. I say that they are saints on the face of this earth. And they are people who do good. And they are people who are not known by anybody. And they will probably die without being known and without being recognized for their goodness. We leave those people in the hands of the Lord. I am a great respecter of God, totally and absolutely, because I drink water and I nourish my body and I bathe and I wash my clothes, and I think that when I'm washing my clothes, maybe at 11 o'clock at night, there are people in million parts of this planet of ours who are doing exactly that, and there is enough of water. And every big bang in this world has caused death and destruction. I am a great appreciator of God. Why? Because the fact that I live, I breathe, I bathe, I wash, I cook, I clean. Everything. Without water, where would we be? And if you just calculate the mathematical genius of a being who created the world, from the plants to the fish to the animals, they all survive with water. You and I survive with water. There is no way known we can survive without it. There is no Satan as far as I am concerned. I say Satan is within you. Right? You are tempted, you fall prey. You are led by people. If you are weak, and you are led by books. Yes, because the fact that I think that I have a role to do here, I don't know. I'm always having a talk with God and saying, if I'm doing something wrong, show me. Don't punish me. Don't let the sins, my sins, go to my children. That's what I say. It's a prayer every morning. I can have a bath without getting chilled to the bone, because the water comes from a stream and the water is cold. And then I bless the inventions of man. Nice inventions. Inventions that help people. ISIS is not doing anything, you see. I mean, they basically start their phrases with, Allah be praised, let us kill the other man. I mean, how can they ask the provider of water to kill? Your prayer, what is a prayer? I've already got the prophet. What is a prayer? A prayer is your own conversation with a being who hears every one of us. And that's another aspect of God. He hears everybody. He's not going to help the ISIS people. He might help Vladimir Putin in Russia to finish off those who are destroying what he planned for our people. A beautiful world. Lead us not into temptation when it actually should be. Let us not be led into temptation by fatwas and by what have you and what have you. And by religious leaders. We have got also the Vatican saying that Jesus was probably drunk when he said that he's coming back again. I mean, basically, what are these people? Are they supposed to be leaders? Church of Rome, I'm not denigrating these people. I'm telling you, they have also come into the world for some purpose. God alone knows what. But it's also to bring unity amongst people. But I say you don't need to go to church. You don't need to go to a temple. You don't need to go to a mosque. The mosque is dedicated strictly to the male sex, and it is there for indoctrination, to tell them what they should do to gain more land, more wealth, more money, more females, and they don't give a darn about anybody else. There are some very good websites. I think you should see all of them, about Christianity movement and about the crimes of people and what have you, and you can understand that they are probably unintelligent people. They just follow. I'm calling upon you not to follow anybody, not even me. Just see what you see. Use your eyes, use your brains, and then judge. Judge, not harshly, but judge with intelligence. You're looking at a race of people who are absolutely led. They are not being led by good, they are being led by evil personified. And you talk about Satan, that's a Satan, because the fact that what they want to do is to encroach on somebody else's land, to take it over, to wipe out what was originally there. It is America in the land of the travelers and the migrants and the ones who went into America, and they destroyed the Sioux race. And what the people are doing now, the migrants of Muslim and Islam origin, are doing exactly that to every other part of the world. The intention is to remove you from the face of the earth so that you do not exist. The planet was made for all. The reason for, the unfortunate reason for maybe, that they were chosen from the Israelites and the Hebrews. Knock aside all those. You see, I mean, basically I can't understand why people are parroting books that they don't even have an honorable mention in. Do you understand what I mean? Right? You to talk about somebody. I mean, are you there in that book? The book is about the Hebrew culture and about the Armenian culture and about maybe Judea was there before. So then, I mean, are we going to give preference to the Jews because of the fact that they were the first fathers? I'm going to give you what I feel is the atrocities that have happened in this world today because of the fact that we have misunderstood a message. So back to the fact that there were 10 commandments in all, accordingly, as somebody said that there were more in the tablets, but that Moses dropped them. Humor. There's nothing to laugh about nowadays because of the fact that we are the likely candidates for death. If you're of any other belief other than is the curse of Mohammad, it is a curse. And we can match it then with the blessing of Jesus Christ. But nobody wants to do good because good does not bring you anything, does it? It doesn't bring you wealth. It doesn't bring you land. It doesn't bring you what else is there that can bring you that you really, really lust for, want for, covet? Right? You screw a child. I mean, you think that that child is going to give you any happiness? You're going to destroy her dream. But I mean, that's you, because the fact that you have got Satan within you, that is Satan. You want to call it Satan? Satan is a being who creates evil. That evil is within us. I'm not. I'm a very practical computer programmer who has been taught, unfortunately, to have a logical reasoning about everything. Right? Now, if I should die by some unfortunate mistake, and I don't go to the doctors either because of the fact that I think that they can kill me. Some unfortunate accident, God taught her a lesson. Because God tells people to do so many things according to people. God doesn't tell you anything to do. He maybe inspires you, might give you a message, right? But He doesn't inspire you to abuse a child. He doesn't inspire you to kill. He doesn't inspire you to rob somebody else's flowers to put them on the altar of His church. He doesn't tell you to go to church. He says, keep holy the Sabbath day. That is also one of the first 5. But keep holy the Sabbath day does not mean that you've got to go to church and pray with a mass of people and you don't even understand their language. Right? They're talking Bible to you and they're talking about the Hebrew and they're talking about Moses and Abraham and whatever, and people leaving Egypt and Jordan, and here we are living in other parts of the world and we don't have any knowledge about that history because we're being taught it in the church. And now, many people have got this habit, it's a bad habit, of saying, well, the Christians did this and the Christians did that, and it was during the time of the reign of kings. But the truth will emerge. I'm not asking you to convert. I'm not asking you to change your ideology. But I do ask you to use your intelligence. You are blessed with it. Every being. If you contest God and you say, well, there are Down syndrome children and autistic children and the murderers and the pedophiles and the what have you, and you blame God because they make it a genetic trait. Man is responsible for the mutations with chemicals. Take the bombing of Hiroshima, nuclear bombs. There are generations today who don't realize that they are affected and afflicted by the water that they drink, because once you do poison water, it will flow as much as does religion, and the rubbish is spread universally. Can it be purified? The taint will always be there. Don't blame the creator of a perfect world for the sins of man. You can't be like Mohammad and say, God told me to marry my son's wife, and God told me this, and on another recent blog on the YouTube, Mohammed is said to have said, like Jesus is said to have said, on this rock I will build my church, and Mohammed is said to have said that he gets his most inspiration from the thighs of his last wife, the 9-year-old. How can people lay the blame on God? It's the weakness of humans. You have to accept it. We have failings. Did he make people to be perfect? No. He made people to be people. If he wanted perfection, he would have kept, the being would have kept himself. I must stop this, because you see, if I use he, that means I credit the being with being the idea in a ignorant mind of being a male. And by so doing so, I give men supremacy. So we'll call the being God, and I will say God. And the gender that I will use is unisex, as being the supreme. No he, no she. That's a matter of equity. There are many posts on YouTube and on the web about the demeaning of women in religion. Alright, even in the good book, the New Testament and Jesus Christ, they talk of Jesus choosing only men, and they were fishermen. And my opinion, and it is an opinion, is that if any woman was given importance, or even as a follower, example, Madeline, or the woman who is depicted alongside Jesus at the Last Supper, made to be a prostitute by the church, because they wanted to maintain that Jesus was free of carnality and lust for a woman. There's oppression of women in Islam, as we all know, by the religious leader Muhammad of Mecca, and done today. And there's oppression of women in the Old Testament. Jesus set the trend in equality in women by giving them even the facility of being themselves. He who is free of sin, machismo. She who is free of sin, but women never stone anyone, unless instructed to do so by their male dominant. Now if you look at the translations, you think that the Muslim and Islam followers ape, sad for the animal, that's another feeling in the English language, they copy and or mimic the biography of an army general from Mecca. Examples of a lifestyle can be either detrimental to a conceived plan of action by the perpetrator or a boon to his personal advancement. The latter is considered effective to encroach, annihilate, overthrow, conquer, and crush the rights of other people. Let's not say religion, because that again is a personal need of the person, who then forms a group, who then forms an army of those with a similar need. And it promotes the denial of freedom to everyone outside of that group. Making a blog about a review that was done on YouTube, where they said that Mohammed wore a dress. As I've already explained, the dress is a form of cover from heat and cold, sand flurries, sandstone, and now it has become a national dress for some. There are the ignorant who will ask you, why are you so against women wearing the burqa and the hijab when your mother Mary wore a veil? And I told that stupid person, because she was an Arab. She too, Mother Mary. You transport them to another part of the world, then they become Sri Lankan maybe. This ends part 2 of Jesus, Mohammad, religion, both Arabs. I will continue into part 3, which will give you all the different things that I have noticed about the use of the religion, and the sources of course are given in all the links, as you can see. You may check them out yourself. I'm not here to brainwash you, and I'm not here to tell you anything but the truth from a very programming and logical mind. It is up to you to interpret it how you wish, and to get intelligence. As you use your own brain, use the thinking that you have been blessed with. There's nothing to match your own personal feelings about the subject. You can go with what you wish. However, do it with rationale and do it with reasoning. Do you say that there is no rationale in believing a God? Well, I do not account for the world and its existence today if it wasn't for a being who was a mathematical genius. Unfortunately, I also do not think that he considered man to be a bad occupant of his space, but he made animals as well, and he made plants, and he made creatures, and he made insects, and even the leech that bites my foot and gets its bladder off me was made for a purpose, supposedly medicinal. So there is a purpose, but there is a good purpose behind all this, not a vile and vicious purpose of total annihilation for the other occupants of this planet. We are all here for a purpose. I hope you find yours. I don't know whether mine is this, but anyway, I'm a teacher of English, and I remain that. I have nothing else to say, and I'm a programmer. I've been blessed with many talents, which is the gift of my parents, who are good, and they taught me to think rationally, and sometimes it caused them a lot of upset, I think, because I thought too rationally. Anyway, God bless you, and Allah be with you too. I told you, God and Allah are the same being in two languages, but they mean the same person.